Hey guys, it is Carl Brown from GL365 Have I highly requested Iron Maiden classic for you guys today. We're going to learn how to play Hallowed Be Thy Name. Now, we're going to do the entire song here, all the rhythm guitar parts, all the harmony guitar parts, all the solos. So we've got our work cut out for us, so let's jump right into it. We are in standard tuning. Before I get into it though, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do, and please ring that little notification bell. So you'll know when I release a new video. And check out my new merchandise. Hey, I got new merchandise. The link to the merchandise store is in the description as well. And you can only get that in my store. These are original designs. And check out my Guitar Academy at guitarlessons365.com. All right, let's jump into it. So this intro is just kind of like a clean guitar part. And it just kind of, most of it's here. It's just based in tenths. It's hard to say. Anyway, so let's go up here. I'm just picking this with my thumb on the low string and the index finger on the top note, and I'm kind of holding my pick there with my middle finger, just kind of hanging out. So we're gonna have, or you can just put your pick in your mouth or whatever. It doesn't matter. So we're gonna have the 10th fret there on the low A, on the A string. There's no B, only A, and then the B string there. All right, so we have the 12th fret on the B, 10th fret on the A. Then go down to the, now all the notes are going to be on those two strings. So we're just going to follow down here the 9th fret on the A, 10th fret on the B, and then move that exact same shape down to 7 on the A, 8 on the B. So like this. Then I'm going to jump down here to the 5th fret on the A, 7th fret on the B, and then back up to that 7 and 8. Then back down to the 5, 7, so with this. So that was kind of a quick move. Now, if it's comfortable for you to use this, I'm just using my index and pinky for every chord. So kind of condense it and then spread it back out a little bit. And then I just come down here to 3 on the A, 5 on the B, and then back up to that 5 and 7. So that's the first time through. So I'll go slow. Now the second time through, we do it pretty much the same except for the last chord. So we start the same. But instead of going back up to the 5, you just take this chord down 1 fret. So 2 on the A, 4 on the B. So all together, the first time, ending at 5, then ending at 2. Just repeat that. Now I will say at the very end of this, he just repeats the version that ends on the 2nd fret 2 times in a row at the very end, instead of going up to the 5 and then ending on the 2. Now underneath that, just very, very low, just kind of not a very, kind of like a clean guitar. You'll hear when it goes to that chord progression, the chord change in the background, you hear mostly bass, the great Steve Harris, but we have just this power chord there at the 3rd fret of the A string. And then up to the 5th fret power chord there off the A string. And then you're going to do a slide from 5 to 7 on the A string, and then play the power chord there. And you get the low E open in there. So we have this. All right, so now after that intro section, we have this little harmony guitar riff that has 2 harmony guitar parts and a little chord progression underneath it. Now the chord progression, I'll check out that first. It looks like this. Now this is at the 59 second mark of the song is when this comes in. So it's just that power chord, down, up, and then the E power chord off the 7th fret of the A string with a low E in there too. So we had this. The opening, like down, up, that could be on just really the bottom 2 strings. Then hit that chord. So the down, up hit. And the same thing here at the 3rd fret, except you're not gonna hit the low E now. It's just the 3rd fret there on the A string, palm muted, down, up, and then hit the power chord. Then move it up to the 5th fret. Then back to that 7th. You do that rhythm 1 time there, and we're gonna have this. All right, so this part right here is the only time they do it like this. They kind of do it differently throughout the song. But this little ending here is just pulling off 5 to 4 on the D, over to 5 on the A. All right, now the harmony parts, the lower one looks like this. So it's just going to repeat that. So that's a bend and release of the 14th fret on the G string. Then play 12. So with this, I'm hammering 11 to 12. Then play 11, 9, 11. So it is. Then you repeat it pretty much the same way, except the last note's going to be different. Instead of going back 9 to that 11, you go 9, 8. So it is. Let's repeat that. Now over that, we have this harmony guitar parts. So that's the kind of same thing repeated. So that's a bend and release at the 13th fret on the B. Then play 12, and then play hammer 10 to 12, back to 10, then 8, 10. Try this. And then like we did in the lower harmony part, we're going to play the same thing, except for this last note, instead of going back to 10, we're going to go down to 7. So, and then you would just repeat that. All right, so now coming out of that at the 1 minute and 18-second mark, we have kind of a fast little picking section. It looks like this. All right, so now underneath that is just these kind of same. Kind of the same power chords on the A string, 7, 3, 5. Just kind of, you're going to see those chords a lot throughout the song. Now this picking part here is, so that's going to be starting kind of palm muted as well. Start at the 7th fret on the A string. So 7 on the A, then 4, 5 on the D string. Then you're going to go back down to the 4 and go 4, 5, 7, 5, 4. Let's try this. So as soon as you get back down to that 4, go over to the 4 on the G string. And then you're going to end it 5, 4, 5, 4 on the D. Over to 7 on the A. So we have this. All right, so the second time through is a little bit different. You're going to let that note kind of hang there. So this. be a little bit shorter because that kind of hangs over the bar there. So you're gonna start here from the 5th, this is still ringing, and then you're gonna go 7 on the A, 4 on the D, back to 7 on the A. Then go 4, 5, 4, 5 on the D, over to that 4th fret on the G. So I'm just gonna get to where we're at so far. Hold it. And then end it the same as we did the first one. 5, 4, 5, 4 on the D, over to 7 on the A. So this, all together. Repeat. All right, so now from there, we're just gonna, you kind of continue playing that part until we get into the ending is just a slightly different that's gonna take us into the second verse. So we have this. So that's the first time through, and then you repeat that section. So you kind of go through it. So it's almost like 2 times through the whole riff is really just 1 time. So it's kind of confusing, I know. But when you get to the 4th time, basically playing that riff that we just learned, it does this. Instead of going, and at the very end, before it gets to the verse, it goes, that goes 5, 4, and then you're gonna pull off 5, 4, open D. Come up here and grab the 7th fret power chord off the low E string, and then the 7th fret power chord on the E. That's when the verse comes in. All right, now this verse is at the 1 minute and 37 second mark, and it sounds like this. All right, so then we get back to that picking lick that we just did before. So that verse is just, you get there, it's the 7th fret, after that little pull off, 7th fret on the low E, you go to that 7th fret off the A string. Then you're gonna, so that little move we did, they do that on multiple frets. So then we move it to the 3rd fret and do that same thing. And then the 5th fret. And then, so that little ending you're gonna see a few times here in the song. So that's gonna do that same 7th fret power chord on the low E to the 7th fret on the A string, slide down to the 2nd fret power chord, then play the 3rd fret on the A string. And we're gonna have this little lick to go back around. So that's gonna be 2, 3, 0 on the A string, that's palm muted. And then 5, 4 on the D, 7, 5 on the A. And then we're back to start over, except you don't get into it that way this time. Just go straight into the 7th fret on the A string power chord. And just repeat what we did before. And then we're just back to just kind of that same 3 chords that we did before. Kind of that little 16th note type feel. Some accents. And that same ending. flub in there, but just repeat that same little 7, 3, 5 there, okay, with that same ending. All right, so now coming out of that, we get back to that quick part. So you're going to see that. I've already seen that already. And then we have a different section, which is at the 2-minute and 33-second mark that come out of that. So this is a harmony riff. Now, Dave Murray is the one that's really kind of doing the harmonies, kind of moving it around. Adrian Smith is just playing this same lick over and over again, lower. They both play together at the beginning, and then Dave Murray kind of moves off and starts harmonizing a little bit. So let me play Adrian Smith's part first. It's a little bit easier to understand. So you just basically do that again and again. So this 7 on the A string, and then hit that 7 again, 4, 5 on the D, up to 4th fret on the G. And then back down. Try this. And then you come back up. So it's basically, you got to just start here, and you're going to start with that 7th fret, and you're going to pick it again to start doing the run, and then just kind of following that rhythm. Now, he's doubling the low 7 at the beginning, and then the high note 2. He picks it again when he starts going back down. But when they start going dun da 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 da, they don't double anything. They just go up and down through the notes. You just gotta know that rhythm. Double. And then start over. Double. 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 All right, so it's just the same up and down through the same 4 notes. You just got to do it in the right rhythm there. So hopefully you know the sound of the song, so you can just kind of mimic the rhythm there. All right, now Dave Murray's part is a little bit more involved with that. He starts playing the same thing, and then he kind of moves around. So it looks like that. All right, so that's got quite a bit going on with there. That happens, by the way, at the that part starts at the 2-minute 33-second mark. So we have this. He starts the same thing as Adrian Smith, but here, after playing through that one time, instead of repeating it, he goes down here. Plays it just basically the first notes difference here at the 3rd fret on the A string, and then everything else is going to be the same notes, except you got to obviously use a different fingerings. Same pattern. So the same pattern meaning that that first note is hit twice on the bottom, and then the top note hit twice, and then nothing's repeated. So you repeat that section, that whole phrase there twice, and then the harmony part that he moves into is this. So this one's got some pretty difficult string crossing in it there. So we have this 5th fret there on the D, and then pick it again. Go 5, 7 on the D, 4, 7 on the G. And then take that 7 again on top, and go back down. So you can see that's the same pattern that we did before, double in the bottom note, and then double in the top note, and then just going through them up and down. And then here, we got to move across strings. So that's 5 on the D, and then 5, 7 on the D, 4 on the G, 5 on the B. Then put that 5 again on the B, 4 on the G, and 7 on the D. And now just kind of go through the ending second half. It's just going through those same 4 notes, the same pattern that we did before, the same ending. I will say he kind of ends it here with a pull off between that 7 and 4, then down here. So all together for that second half of that harmony. I'm sorry, one more time. All right, so coming out of that harmony section, at the 3-minute and 10-second mark, I believe we have the third verse. Sounds like this. All right, so that's just based off kind of a couple hits at the end of each chord, and then down that 3 and that 5 again. So the same 3 chords. Back to 7th fret there, and then you do this lick. A little bit different than earlier. So that's going to pull off 5 to 4 on the D, over to 7 on the A, and then pull off 5 to 4 again on the D, this time resolving it down to the 5th fret on the A. All right, so then at the 3-minute and 45-second mark, we have the same harmony guitar part that we did earlier that occurs. And then we finally mix it up a little bit at the 4-minute and 4-second mark, and we have this little lick. Now before we cover that simple little lick, let's look at the chords that happen under it. We have this. All right, so that's that power chord, that kind of move we did earlier, from the 7th fret power chord on the low E to the 7th fret off the A string and get the low E open there. Do that twice. All right, and then same thing at the 3rd fret. Of course, no open low E here. And then back up to the 7th. Back with the low open E. So on top of that, we have this. So that's 9 on the G, 12 on the B string. And when you play that, let them ring together. And then you're going to play 11, 12 on the G. So all right, now coming out of that section, at the 4-minute and 23-second mark, we have this little fast riff that leads us into the solo guitar section, the solo section. So let's take a look at this fast riff real quick. All right, something's fun to play. So we're gonna have start. It's kind of similar to what we've done before. So we're gonna play 7th on the on the A string there. Obviously, we're gonna palm muting most of this riff except for the last two chords. So with this 7 on the A string, then 4/5, 4/5 on the D, over to the 4th fret on the G. Then we're going to go kind of reverse that. We got top. We're going to go 5, 4, 5, 4 on the D. So like this. And then end it there with 7, 5 on the A string. And then you're going to play the 3rd fret power chord off the A string and the 5th fret. So like this. All right, so it's really fun to play once you get it down into your hands or whatever. All right, now from there we get to the solo, the solos. Now underneath the solos, before I'll check out the solos at the end of the video, but we're just going to do the rhythm guitar parts first. So coming in at the 4-minute and 30-some second mark, we have this. So that kind of continues under both guitar solos. So we're going to start that here, kind of, it was a lot faster tempo now, up to the 7th fret power chord off the A string with a low E in there as well. So I'll kind of do that for a couple of bars, and then what you're going to do is just do the 7th fret off the A and the D, and then kind of hammer the beginning of bar 3 there onto the 9 of the D. So this kind of accent, that's how they kind of accent it a little bit. So, and then we have this little lick. That's going to be, you're going to pick these. It's going to be, you can pull off the top notes, whatever. 5, 4 on the D to 5 on the A. Slide down now. We're going to play now 3, 2 on the A to 3 on the low E. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to jump up here to the 5th fret there on the A string, 5th fret power chord, and we're going to, instead of just playing the straight power chord, we're going to hammer into it like we did up here before. We're going to hammer on, so it's 2 5s across the A and the D. And then do that hammer again. And then that same ending lick. So you just kind of keep doing that throughout the solos. Let me look here. Then after the solo, we have a different little riff there. Sounds like this. All right, so that is just kind of based around that E power chord again. We kind of do that little hammer on in there too. Now, this little lick, I'll show you the way he does it pretty much most of the time when he's doing this riff, but the very first time he changes it slightly. But we have this. So we have this 7 on the A string, and then the 5th fret with a slightly bend it. Then play 7, 5 on the A, and do that again. So this. Then you go back to the 7 after doing that twice. You go back to the 7 on the A, and then the open E. And then back to riff. Now, the first time, the only difference he does is instead of going each time. The first time you hear him play this riff, you're going to hear the open A instead of the 7th fret on the A string. So it is. And then it's the same. And then normal. All right, so now after all that, we get to the 5-minute 50-second mark of the song. We have kind of the same riff that we did earlier in the track. So we've done that before, but now it's being harmonized. Up here. So you're going to see that here at the... so it's kind of the same pattern, but the notes that you're using, so that's all you really need to know is the notes. It's the same pattern. Is the 10 on the A, 7, 9, 10 on the D, up to 7 on the G. So if you can do this pattern, but do it here with those 4 notes. I'm sorry, 5 notes. I will say he does some pull-offs too when you're doing those 9 to 7 especially. You might play them as some pull-offs, so you might want to do that instead, or you can just pick across it. Those little 9, 7. So you might want to put pull-offs there if you like the sound of it. Now at the 6-minute and 13-second mark, we had this little ending that we've heard before. And it also happens at the 6-minute and 22-second mark. So that's just out of these, while you're doing these harmony riffs, it just jumps into that same ending. And then back. All right, so coming out of that section, we're finally towards the end of the song. We have the out chorus there, which is just based around these same 3 chords. 7th fret, power chord off the A string, 3, the 5th. And the outro looks like this. It has that same riff that goes. But we have this little kind of that thing that we did before under it. So it's that 7 on the low E to the A string power chord. And then we do that to the 5th fret. And the 3rd. Build back up to the 5th fret. And then we get to the end of the track where we do that same, we do that transition, that power chord over to the A string from the 6th. Then you have that big rock ending. Let it ring, and then it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we've gotten through all the rhythm guitar parts and harmony parts. So now let's get to the fun stuff. We're going to check out the guitar solos. So the first one I'm going to play here, and then I'll show you too how to play it note for note. All right, so the second solo comes in over that, that last note there. So let me just go through it here now. We're going to start with this, I'm going to delay off for a second here. We're going to start with this little slide with a pick slide, kind of down the strings. And a bend and release there, a couple bend and release to the 2nd fret of the G string. Then the open high E string, and then you're going to pull off 5 to 3 to 0 on the beat. If you want to pick the top note each time, you can. Or just kind of you know, little tip here, you can mute this high E string with your middle finger down here so you don't pull off into it. So you just do. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now we're gonna continue that kind of thing, but we're gonna move it. So we're just pulling off 8 to 7 to the 0, then 7, 5, 0. So you do that quite a bit. And you're going to end on this 8, 7, 0. And it kind of slides up the G and then down the D. So. And then we slide back into the 4th fret on the G string, 14th fret, I'm sorry. And then 13, 15, and then the 12 on the B. Into that 15th fret bend at the on the B string. And then what he does is just kind of this, he's a big fan of legato, as you probably know. So he's going to do this kind of hammering 12 to 15 on the high E, pull back off to 12, over to 14 on the B. Do that a couple times. And then you kind of work your way down into another bend there at the 15th fret on the B string. So we have this. And then from that bend, just kind of start doing legato down the pentatonic scale. So it's just kind of, you know, the E minor pentatonic, 15, 12 on the B, 14, 12 on the G, and D, and A. Just kind of legato it all, just do some trills. And then when you get to the bottom of the A string, just kind of slide it down and back up. So it's, once with the wah pedal, it really kind of creates that really kind of dramatic sound there. So we have coming from. So that's 15th fret there on the B string, and then 17th fret with a 1.5 bend and release over and over again. And then from there, you play the 15 and you can reach over. It sounds like he's using his pick. I don't know if he does that live or whatever. You can do it as just a trill between 15 and 17 on the B. Or you can do it with your pick. It just sounds really aggressive attack, so it almost sounds like he's using a pick on the recording. And then you're going to end the solo there with 2 bends at the 17th fret on the high E string. All right, so then the next solo comes in after that, and let's check out that one. All right, so fun stuff in that one as well, but short but sweet. So we're going to start here. We got some nice patterns in this one, so it's not as, it's kind of easier to memorize. So we're going to start here with this bend at the 15th fret on the B string. Then you're going to tap the 18th fret while that string is bent. So then you're going to flick that tap down, release the bend, pull off to 12, into a 14th fret bend and release on the G. I kind of hammer it on while I'm kind of getting my pick back in my hand. I hold my pick like right there between my, with my middle finger between those middle joints. So I got my pick now, and then kind of pick the double stops there, the 12th fret a couple times, and across the B and the G. Back to the 14, and then hammer 12, 14, back to pull off, back to 12 on the G, over to 14 on the D. And now we have our first pattern, which starts as eighth notes, then it goes into triplets. So that's sliding into the 15th fret on the B string, up to the 14th fret on the high E. Now the pattern starts. We're going to pull off 17 to 14, over to 15 on the B. And if you hear the recording, you're hearing these notes ring together. So he's just kind of keeping his index finger there. And then you're going to reach up and do the same lick, but instead of pulling off from the 17th fret, you're going to pull off from the 19th fret. So it's a little bit of a stretch. And then back down to that 15th fret on the B. So we have this. All right, so the first two times you hear that pattern, play the 17, then the 19, it's in eighth notes, and then it jumps up to an. So that's just faster. 3-note pattern, 1. And then you're going to play these two notes together to 14 on the high E and the 15 on the B. So we have this. All right, now we have another little pattern. So that's once again just using the E minor pentatonic scale. We're going to slide into it. We're going to have a couple notes that start it. Slide in with the 15th fret on the B, and then 12 on the high E. Now the pattern starts. The pattern is going to be pulling off 15 to 12 on the high E, over to 15 on the B. So it's a 6-note pattern. So this is the first 3 notes. And then 12 on the high E, and then you're going to pull off 15 to 12 on the B. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you're going to pull off, pick, pick, pull off. So you take that 6-note pattern now and start it on the notes on the B string. And you're going to take it down through that E minor scale. E minor pentatonic. And then start it from the G string. And then the D. So it is. So when you get down there to the 12th fret on the A, we have just sliding into the 14th fret there on the A. And then 12, 14 on the D, over to 12 on the G. Bend that 14, then 14 without the bend. 12, over to 14 on the D string. All right, and then we got the final little lick of the solo. So that is going to be starting the 12, 10 there. You can kind of hammer on if you want while you're putting your pick wherever you want to put it. 10 to 12 on the high E string. And then we're going to start the tapping lick, which is going to be tapping the 20. It's a 3-note tapping lick. Tap 20, pull off to 10, and then hammer on 12. So we're just going to do that. And then the same thing, but now tapping it at 19. Then back to 20, and back to 19. So start it with 20, 19, 20, 19. And then 17, 19. And then work our way down through the E minor scale, back to 17. 15, 14, back to 15. So just got to remember those top notes, because this is the same thing every time. So 20, 19, 20, 19, 17, 19, 17, 15, 14, 15. And then take 10 a few times. And into that step and a half bend again to end it, those rapid bend and release of the 17th fret there. And that's it. So I'm going to let you guys go. It's been a crazy lesson, very long. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you spend the time to get this down. It's a very fun track once you do. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.